When we talk about the greatest video game of all time, the conversation almost always lands in the same place, a little game called The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. This game launched in 1998 on the Nintendo 64, and for an entire generation, it redefined what a video game could be. It took the 2D majesty of A Link to the Past and exploded it into three breathtaking dimensions. It wasn't just a game, it was an event. But here's the modern dilemma. Our kids, raised on Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, look at Ocarina of Time and see blocky graphics, a confusing camera, and a world that feels small. They don't get it. They haven't earned it yet. Today, we're diving deep into why Ocarina of Time still holds the crown, why it's the greatest video game your kids don't yet understand, and why its design principles are still the bedrock of modern gaming. Let's start with the revolutionary aspect that hits every veteran right in the nostalgia: Hyrule Field. In modern open-world games, fields are filled with icons, towers to climb, side quests, and enemies constantly badgering you. They are busy, anxious places. Hyrule Field in 1998 was mostly nothing, and that nothing was everything. When you emerge from Kakiri Forest for the first time, the field stretches out, vast and empty. It feels huge because there are no distractions, there are no quest markers, just open space, a soaring musical theme, and the realization that the castle is a long, long way away. That sheer scale, that feeling of being a small boy in a massive, mysterious world, was revolutionary. That empty space forced two things: immersion and fear. Immersion because you felt the journey, and fear because when night fell, those terrifying stall children popped out of the ground, forcing you to run desperately back to the safety of the castle walls. Modern open worlds are playgrounds. Hyrule Field was an intimidating journey. It taught us the true meaning of exploration, not just fast travel. The second reason Ocarina of Time is a masterpiece is one word: Z-targeting. Before this game, 3D combat was a chaotic mess. You were swinging wildly at air, hitting walls, and battling the camera more than the enemy. Ocarina of Time solved the entire problem of 3D combat with one brilliant mechanic: the Z button lock-on. This wasn't just about targeting, it was about creating a space. By locking onto an enemy, the game gave you a fixed relationship with your opponent. It allowed for sidestepping, backflipping, and precise directional attacks. This simple mechanic became the DNA for every 3D action game that followed. Dark Souls, Z-targeting; God of War, Z-targeting. Even your kids' favorite fighting games owe a deep debt to that little lock-on feature. It allowed developers to design enemies with attack patterns and weaknesses, turning combat from a flailing mess into a sophisticated rhythmic dance. It's the single most influential control scheme in console history, and it came from a game on a three-pronged controller. The narrative backbone of this game is the brilliant, world-altering jump from Child Link to Adult Link. This is the central thematic element your kids, accustomed to sequels or linear progression, don't immediately grasp. It's not just a time skip, it's a fundamental change in the game's rules and atmosphere. Child Link's world is vibrant, green, and full of possibility. Adult Link's world is dark, corrupted, and dying. This contrast is key. When we saw Hyrule Castle Market destroyed and crawling with redeads, it was a gut punch. It made the conflict personal. It showed us the devastating cost of failure in a way no text box ever could. And this time travel mechanic gave us two distinct worlds to explore using the same physical space. Suddenly, simple objects become crucial. That tiny hole Child Link could crawl through becomes Adult Link's only hope for a shortcut. The past dictates the present. It was an incredibly sophisticated piece of structural storytelling that gave every action a lasting consequence. It made us care about Hyrule as a character, not just a map. Let's talk dungeons. Modern games often rely on mini-dungeons, shrines, or linear areas. The dungeons in Ocarina of Time were self-contained, multi-layered masterpieces of spatial reasoning. They weren't about combat, they were about puzzle solving and item mastery. The Forest Temple forced you to grapple to the ceiling. The Fire Temple forced you to free prisoners. And of course, the infamous Water Temple. The water temple is a source of endless frustration, but it is also a perfect piece of design. It forces you to mentally map 3 different levels, constantly changing the water level to access new areas. It's a spatial exam that requires focus and patience. You couldn't just wander, you had to think like the dungeon designer. You had to understand how one action in a basement affected a door on the 3rd floor. This reliance on using new items, the hookshot, the iron boots, the megaton hammer, to fundamentally change how you interact with the environment is the pure essence of Zelda. It creates a feeling of earned progression that a simple skill tree upgrade just can't replicate. So when your kids look at Ocarina of Time and scoff at the graphics, they're missing the point. They are seeing the canvas, not the art. This game, despite its polygonal limitations, offered something modern games have largely sacrificed: mystery and respect for the player's intelligence. It trusted us to wander Hyrule Field without a GPS. It trusted us to figure out the complex water mechanics without a massive tutorial prompt. It trusted us to understand that being a hero involves more than just swinging a sword. It involves listening to a tiny owl, learning an ocarina song, and realizing that sometimes the most powerful weapon is the passage of time. Ocarina of Time isn't just a great game. It's the fundamental text of 3D adventure. It's the origin point of so many things we take for granted today: lock-on combat, cinematic sequences, and the realization that a simple item like an ocarina could feel profoundly magical. They might not understand it yet, but one day, when they feel the sheer, silent loneliness of Hyrule Field, or finally solve that last water temple puzzle, they will realize they're standing on the shoulders of giants. They will realize they're playing the greatest game ever made. Do yourself a favor and experience it again. And maybe, just maybe, let your kids watch you solve the water temple once you've got it down. Thanks for watching. Let me know in the comments, was the water temple truly hard, or did we just forget where the 3rd water lever was? I'll see you in the next one.